You know it's fall when football is back. There's a chill in the air. And the Vikings defense has 43 points run up on them. Oh, and I won predictions. How was your week? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi.
And I'm Jade Grossi.
Oh, Jade. What happened?
I'm tired. And cold.
Of Kirk Cousins blowing the game?
No.
Of their defense blowing the game? Of Devontae Adams getting over 150 yards? Of Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns?
Of you.
Which one of these things is bothering my wife? So last week, on the first week of predictions, it turns out I went 11-5. Because who would have ever thought the Washington football team was actually going to win? No, not I. But yet they're in first place in the NFC East, and the 49ers are in last. 2020, folks. And so today, let's break it down. Week 2 in the NFL. Let's just hope there's no COVID outbreaks.
Did you say that I went 8-8?
Did I?
I don't think you said that I went 8-8.
Sorry.
I would just like to point out that I like to keep things even. So the 8-8 was deliberate.
But we scored 43 points on you. That's an odd number. So let's get into it. The first game. Oh, a real barn burner that's going to have all the eyes of America on it. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns.
B versus B. And you said it was going to be a barn burner.
And it's also going to be boring.
Boring? Are you going to put a nose strip on?
It's boring. That's what I was going for.
A Bior nose strip and then tear out your blackheads?
I do have to work on my acne. That's why I use facial cleanser. Maybe they'll be our next sponsor. So yeah, the Bengals, listen, they had a shot. They were going to win it. They were going to beat the Chargers. And then they literally turned into the Chargers and they missed the field goal. So that didn't work. So Joe Burrow played pretty damn well, not going to lie. And the guy looked pretty good for his first NFL start, except the team around him fell apart and couldn't get it done. Meanwhile, the Browns, they were really bad. They got waffle stomped by the Ravens and really couldn't do a whole lot of anything. Yeah, the Browns looked abysmal. Now, again, they were going against the Baltimore Ravens, who are one of the best teams in football. And so this is going to be their redemption game, maybe, potentially. I don't know. Both of these teams are pretty terrible. If I had to make a guess, I'm going to say the Bengals because the Browns just looked anemic. Their running game could get it done, though, so I am leaning a little bit towards the Browns. But I'm going to say this is the night that Joe Burrow gets his first win in the NFL. So I'm actually going to go with the Bengals, which is not a phrase you're going to hear a lot this season.
You know, you said if I have to make a guess, and that's kind of the whole point of this show.
No. I don't guess. I predict.
Well, then you didn't predict the Bengals either. It's not working. I also predict the Bengals.
Then you got the New Jersey Giants, who I'm pretty sure you could put Jade on that offensive line, and she'd either put in the same performance or maybe even do a little bit better.
I'm offended.
I mean, you're not a 350-pound man.
That is correct. You said offense or defense?
Offense.
Isn't that the running part?
No, the offensive line are the people who block. They were really bad. So, when
broken.
You go to a snazzy hotel and there's a doorman.
Yes.
Right? And they're like, come on in. That's what the offensive line for the Giants did to the defenders, allowing them to murder Saquon Barkley and Danny Dimes. So, yeah.
Okay.
They were really, really bad, taking on the Chicago Bears, who were able to come away with a win just because of the incompetence of the Detroit Lions, sealing that Mitch Trubisky is going to be their starter for at least another week. So did you really win, Bears? Did you really win? So this game, oh God, honestly, it's a complete and total toss-up. I think the Giants' offensive line is so bad that the Bears' defensive line should tear them apart. Trubisky will probably do just enough to beat them and will remain your starter. So ultimately, I'll still win. I'm going to go with the Bears.
I was also going to go with the Bears.
Rawr. Then you got the LA Rams taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost to the Washington football team. That was funny. The LA Rams defeating the Dallas Cowboys, or the Dallas Cowboys more defeating themselves, this past Sunday night. But the Rams defense looked damn good. Aaron Donald continued to look like a very, very scary man. Jared Goff actually seemed competent and somewhat accurate. And their running game was like, okay, that's basically the best I can say about it. People are already saying the Rams are back. And I'm like, are they? Are they? Then you had the Eagles, in which Carson Wentz was just left to die in the backfield. He'll be hurt tomorrow. And on top of that, they really, really just blew a lead to the Washington football team. So I have to say, I don't have a lot of confidence in the Eagles right now, so I'm going to go with the LA Rams.
I am also going to go with the Rams because I had Carson Wentz as my quarterback in fantasy, and I watched as the points went away. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
so my other quarterback, I don't care what you want to know. My other quarterback was Goff, who I didn't play. So because Wentz didn't do a very good job this past week, I'm going to swap him out probably and put in Goff. So that way I have to say the Rams.
And then you'll get revenge on him too, because they're going up against Carson Wentz.
I know, that's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get revenge. You're going to be like, ha, ha, ha. And Carson Wentz, who watches the show, is going to be like,
giving me fantasy points.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. Then you got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The Falcons, yeah, they lost. They got carved up by the Seattle Seahawks. The Cowboys lost due to a whole bunch of incompetence and not kicking the game-tying field goal on 4th and 3, and instead opted to go for it and then didn't get it. And then people are going to be like, oh, but what about the offensive pass interference? Well, you should have just kicked the tying field goal, and then you could have just went and driven and gotten to field goal range for the last drive, and you would have won, and we wouldn't have been having this conversation. Anyway, the Falcons still look pretty good. Matt Ryan still looked pretty good. Todd Gurley looked pretty good for like a hot second, and then they didn't really utilize him anymore. The Cowboys are still trying to get into a groove. This is going to be a tough matchup, and I think this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to say that this is where the Cowboys, they find their groove a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I still believe they'll be a good team this year.
Falcons.
Then you got the Carolina Panthers taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey, the Panthers put up a good effort against the Las Vegas Raiders, and Josh Jacobs ran all over them. And Teddy Bridgewater wasn't afraid to throw the ball. So I think the Panthers are going to be better than projected. But then again, I only projected them to win like 4 games. Meanwhile, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who the first drive, they look great. Tom Brady looked great. And then after that, not so much. Their defense, for the most part, held Drew Brees in check. You know, really held Michael Thomas to not doing anything. I know Michael Thomas got hurt during that game. So the Buccaneers are going to be one of those teams that, again, it takes a little while to get going. I think they'll be just fine this week. I'll go with the Bucs.
Wait a second. So Tom Brady's on the Buccaneers.
Yes.
Drew Brees is on the
Saints.
Oh, he's still on the Saints.
Yeah.
Oh, I was confused. I feel like Tom Brady should just be with the Patriots.
He's not.
I know.
That's Cam Newton now.
Who was with the Panthers.
Yes.
So I'll go with the Panthers.
Any logic behind that? But just because Cam Newton was on there and now he's with the Patriots and the Patriots had Tom Brady, so it's just
Tom Brady just doesn't belong anywhere else besides the Patriots.
You just gained a lot of Patriot fans right now. Then you got the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Jets, who have the same record. You're last. You're last in the West. It's great. It's great. Yeah, Raheem Mostert was literally their best player through the air and also on the ground. Meanwhile, the New York Jets, yeah, they there's a bad football team. The 49ers are a better football team. That's my analysis. The 49ers are going to win, even if they don't have George Kittle.
49ers.
Then you got the Denver Broncos taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. This should be a good game, and I'm kind of torn. You know, obviously the Broncos lost Von Miller, which is a traumatic blow for that defense. And they played okay. There were some flashes in the Monday night game against the Titans, but they were a little bit sluggish. Meanwhile, the Steelers, as we talked about before, literally just dominated the Giants. But it's kind of hard to tell. Is the Steelers' defense that good, or is the Giants' offensive line that bad? I like to think it's a little bit of both. Their offense, you know, James Conner is injured. Snell came in and did pretty damn well, even though I had James Conner in fantasy, and that did not work out at all. Big Ben was decent, had some rust still. Juju Smith-Schuster had a nice game, had 2 TDs. I'm going to lean towards the Steelers because I think their defense is for real.
So what's unfortunate about that entire segment is that when Tom said that he was torn, all I did was sing Natalie Imbruglia, Torn, in my head. Nothing's quite untorn. I'm all out of shit. Okay. Well,
this is how I feel.
And I didn't listen to a single word
lying naked
that he said.
You should never change into something real. Sorry, what'd you say? But wide awake, I can see the perfect sky is torn. I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel.
So it still doesn't help me make an educated guess. Prediction. On somebody. So I'll go with the Broncos.
Okay, there we go. Took a little while to get out. Then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who beat the Colts because of Gardner Minshew refuses to let this team tank. And I am all aboard. If they wind up going 16-0, I will be the happiest person ever. Taking on the Titans. Yep, Steven Gostkowski missed 3 field goals. 3 field goals on Monday night. Yeah, that's bad. That's really, really bad. So hopefully they get that sorted out. But the Titans, I think, are the better team because, you know, Miles Jack, Gardner Minshew, that is the Jaguars team right now. So I'm just going to say, because the Titans have more talent, the Titans should win this football game.
I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
Believe in the Minshew. The Detroit Lions, who blew a massive lead against Mitch Trubisky and the Bears, take on the #1 scoring offense in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. We tore the hearts out of the Vikings. Those young corners didn't stand a chance. And now, the Detroit Lions make their way to Lambeau Field.
Your fingers were moonwalking.
Yeah, they were. Because just like Michael Jackson, the Packers are gonna beat it. And by it, I mean the Lions. I tried to make that work and that transition really didn't work. So anyway, the Green Bay Packers are gonna tear that secondary
I'm also gonna go with the Packers.
Speaking of
just want to move on to the next pick.
She's been converted. Then you got the Buffalo Bills, who took care of the New York Jets, taking on the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 interceptions against that New England defense. And, you know, the Dolphins are also not really a good team. They're still rebuilding. If the Bills lose to them, they got significant problems. Even though it's a divisional game, you know, could go either way. Yeah, the Bills have to win this game. And Josh Allen, stop fumbling the football. Bills.
Question.
Answer.
Fitz who?
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Big
Ryan
beard.
Fitzpatrick. He was the QB for the Falcons?
Nope. That's Matt Ryan.
Wasn't he a quarterback somewhere else?
Yes.
Say his name again.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Should I know that?
Maybe. He's been just about everywhere. He was on the Bills for a while. On the Jets for a while, too.
I'm thinking. Maybe it was the Bills.
Maybe. They're really close to the Falcons.
I was picturing red. Doesn't the Bills have some red?
Yeah, like a little bit.
Woo, football! I'm going to go with the Bills.
A battle
Vikings.
of the 0-1 teams.
I'm staying loyal.
The Minnesota Vikings, who had 43 points.
But they have to defend better.
On them.
Because that was awful to watch.
40.
Did you hear me? Vikings, you need to be better at defending.
Then you have the Indianapolis Colts, and Phillip Rivers is just being Phillip Rivers. They lost. They lost to the Jaguars. Oh, this is going to be a good game in that I do not care what happens at all to this game. I'm going to root for the Colts. The Vikings, I think, should win this game. I'm actually going to go with the Vikings, too.
No, you already said Colts. Can't take it back. No backsies.
I just did. Washington football team, who's leading the NFC East, taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who beat the 49ers last week. Kyler Murray, mwah. DeAndre Hopkins, mwah. Yeah. I think they're going to tear up the Washington football team, even though the Washington football team's defensive line actually looked pretty darn good. But, yeah, no. Kyler Murray should make short work of them, the Cardinals.
Was Fitzpatrick on the Cardinals?
I think that's like the one team he hasn't been on.
I wonder what I'm thinking about. Anyway,
I tried to guess that for 10 years.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals, too.
Then you got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans getting slapped in the mouth by Patrick Mahomes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, they looked pretty damn anemic. And meanwhile, the Ravens were like, ha-ha, talking about the waffle stomping again of the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, the Ravens are going to beat the Texans. I have no doubt about that.
Question.
Answer.
That's the second time you've referred to a team as anemic.
Yes.
When you use that as an adjective,
yes.
What do you mean?
Meaning that low blood flow, they were cold, dead, rotting corpse. I might have gone a little bit too far, but you tell me you don't have anemia, but then again, it's like 70 degrees in here and you got a full-blown blanket on, so...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe, maybe the Texans aren't the only thing anemic down here.
Also, when you say... waffle stomp.
Yep.
Is that like
because stomped on the waffle
because of the cleats? They
sure.
make little holes like waffles?
I'll take it.
Oh, okay.
The English language is a mysterious beast.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
There you go. Should I do it? Should I do it? Quote the Raven nevermore. Then you got the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, taking on the Chargers. Tyrod Taylor didn't do too bad last week, but the only reason they didn't lose that game is because the Bengals gonna Bengals. The Chargers taking on a really, really good opponent in the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna win. Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And the Sunday night game. This should be a lot of fun. The New England Patriots with Cam Newton. 75 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And then just everyone else ran on the ball. They didn't really have to throw the ball that much. But when he did, Cam Newton did it pretty well. Taking on the Seattle Seahawks, who Russell Wilson just unleashed the fury of Poseidon. Seattle called up the Seattle Kraken and were like, hey, come and help me. And the Kraken came out and was like, I don't know what any of that means, but DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett did really well, and so did Chris Carson. This should be a really, really good football game. The Patriots, again, while their defense is not going to live up to where they were last year, they still looked pretty good against the Dolphins. How are they going to do against a Seahawks team who came out week 1 and just slapped the Falcons around? I'm actually going to go with the Seahawks here.
I don't want to go with either of these teams, but I guess I'll go with the Seahawks.
There you go. And finally, you have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. I said Vegas and I didn't say Oakland. I did it. Anyway, the Raiders on the back of Josh Jacobs, who was just like, don't worry, I got it, and scored 3 touchdowns. Pretty damn impressive. Meanwhile, the Saints, as we talked about before, they beat Tom Brady, but it looks like Michael Thomas is going to be missing at least a few weeks. So are guys like Emmanuel Sanders going to be able to step up? Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the Raiders. The Saints should win this game, but you're going to go with the Raiders too?
Yeah.
Oh.
We only have like a handful of games that are not the same.
Yeah. So that means I'm most likely still going to win next week.
I mean, you're up by
3,
so...
Math. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. Who's going to be taking home the trophy? Wait, there's no trophy. It's only week 2. Who's going to be taking home the gold? There's no gold either. Who's going to be taking home the W? Not George W. Bush. The win. Week 2. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons over at Patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members.
Why are you threatening to throw more stuff at me?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You were gonna throw a pen at me.
I would never throw this pen at you.
You saw it.
I would never do that to you. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, oh, you're supposed to say your name.
I know.
Oh.
And I'm Jade Grossi.
And as always.
No.
Go Pack, go.